welcome to Movies, Films, and Flicks Data. I am Mark Hoffmeyer, and joining me is a man who might have a raspy voice because he just got back from a Batman convention. It's Adam Clement.
Wait, there's actual just Batman conventions?
Well, wouldn't you know?
I mean, yes, of course I would know.
I'm sorry, I just assumed. Since you and I have talked about Batman a lot on the podcast, so I figured you were just at one today.
Yeah, I'm like the Batman guy. That or the Halloween one, which I'm okay with.
You know when you become associated with certain aspects and everyone just talks about it every time they see you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. As a matter of fact, at work today, somebody was like, hey, we're working on a style guide for all this stuff that's covered about Comic-Con. We think you'd be a good person to contribute. I'm like, oh, joy. I know my brand extends far beyond this department, so I hear you.
But I'm glad you enjoyed the convention, man. And I'm glad that you joined me to talk about The Dark Knight Rises and the bridge scene.
Oh, it's my favorite thing to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, this scene, I tackled this data. So first and foremost, this article is about, I figured out how long it took Batman to set up the flaming bat symbol on the bridge in The Dark Knight Rises. And many articles have just kind of gone about saying, how did, Gotham is dying and Batman is taking time to put symbols on bridges. Some people even said he did it beforehand and did that and the other. And for me, I wanted to tackle this not from a cynical point of view, but from does this work in the time frame? Did he have spare time? How did he do this? Why did he do this? And this is one of the most hair-pulling data posts I've ever put together.
It's complicated. Yeah. It's really in-depth, and it's perfect for this movie because anytime you talk about Batman, what inevitably happens is, oh, can he beat this person? Can he beat Goku? Can he beat Superman? It's like, the answer is always the same. How much time does he have to prepare? So it feeds perfectly into this premise, right, that he would just lay priority of the safety of his city to the side for a moment and be like, look, guys, I got my shit ruined. I got to make this return look real tight.
But here's the deal. I broke down the timeline and I made sense of it. The problem is, go to Movies, Films, and Flicks to read the article. Check it out. And maybe it's long, so just break it up. But the interesting thing for me, the toughest thing, was that Christopher Nolan really had no interest in geography. And people complain about in The Dark Knight when they went through the tunnel, it's day, when they come out at night. He doesn't care. And I'm totally fine with that. I get continuity, I get shooting, I get the schedules. And in this movie, throughout the trilogy, they filmed in New York City, Chicago, Los Angeles, Pittsburgh, and London. There were 2 Wayne Enterprises. There was, at one time, a big train. So the cities and landscapes have really changed. And that's what made this really difficult. Also, there are several official maps made for this movie, and those official maps are wrong. And then you have...
But they're official.
Yeah, they're official. So that I wasted a lot of time on that.
They're officially wrong.
No, they really are. And then I started looking at... The most helpful thing for me was there was a map that had all the strike zones on it that Gary Oldman was looking at in the film. And some people screen grabbed it, so they have pictures of that. There's also a Gotham Transit Authority poster, but that one wasn't totally correct. So for me, I just had to make several guesses to make this work. And it got pretty frustrating. I was rewatching clips. I was watching clips. I paused things. I made screen grabs with arrows. I think I narrowed it down to the thing takes place in downtown Gotham, right?
Sure.
Because that's where City Hall is. And from City Hall, Bane can see the bridge fire burning, the bat symbol. And it's not too far away. So that gave me a good start. So then I started looking at the island of Manhattan. And I came up with, I just said the Brooklyn Bridge, because next to the Brooklyn Bridge is another bridge, and the arches look the same. So the only 2 places where there's bridges really close to each other is there. So I narrowed those down, because during the film you see the 2 bridges next to each other and the water's iced over. So that was tough. If you're looking through the article, you'll see my very strategic arrows that I used to do this.
Yeah, I'm looking at them right now. They're helpful.
I will say, though, the one thing that made this really helpful for me is that there is a 12-hour ticking clock. Yeah, that really helps. So when Wayne comes back from his back break and he joins up with Selina, they go find Lucius Fox and Miranda. Morgan Freeman says there's 12 hours. So right then and there, I started the ticking clock. The problem for me, what I thought was interesting about Gotham is there's really so it's winter, so the night is longer. But in Gotham during winter, there's only 8 hours of night, which is a pretty interesting phenomenon.
Wait, how does that happen? What would determine that?
Well, because if it's a 12-hour ticking clock, when he meets Selina and Lucius Fox at 7 p.m., they go on Lucius Fox and Wayne, they go to walk to the underground bunker, which was introduced in The Dark Knight, but that's at the docks. So they're not taking cabs, they're not taking Ubers, they're not getting a lift from Bane's henchmen, so they're just walking.
There's like barely anybody on the road, yeah.
Yeah, so they had to strut over there, then they kind of hang out, then they have to walk all the way back downtown, go up a skyscraper, and hang out to get his plane. And it's still light outside. So by this time, it's close to 9:30 when they're on top of the building in downtown Gotham to get his gear and his plane.
Sure.
So they're hanging out. I read online that there's certain places where his thing is parked that it's Wayne Enterprises, but it's not. So I got real nerdy into that. I have so many pictures, Adam. I've screen grabbed so many pictures in this movie. Have you seen 21 Jump Street when Channing Tatum's on the board writing all that stuff saying it's science?
Sure, he's like on drugs.
Yeah, so I wasn't on drugs, but I felt like that.
Putting
like
this together. Like a
galaxy
brain.
Yeah, I had to take some time off from this because the geography didn't make sense. I was like that kid from Real Genius that loses it for a while and runs out of the room. I wouldn't be in that school though. So, and then eventually at 10:30 p.m. Wen takes the bat to the bridge, parks it. Then he walks, and this was my guess, right? You can't just go put a fire on a bridge. He had to scout it. But the main thing is, he knew that bridge is where all the people came out to get dumped in the ice.
Okay.
So that's why he put it there. So while he was doing it, he was waiting for Gary Oldman and his crew to come out and take the ice walk.
So you're saying not only did he pick the bridge because it was a perfect canvas for the city, right? Because he doesn't have a bat signal. That's dead.
Yeah.
I think that's also important to remind people that was destroyed. So there's nothing you can put in the sky. So he has to use, right, a vertical canvas that's tall enough. So we're using the bridge. You're saying he also used it because, as people are being marched to their death, they need that, like, beacon of hope as they're making their last rites.
No, I just think he was there because Gary Oldman was going to be brought out eventually. And I think maybe he was bored. So he went up there, and I don't think he had gasoline. I think he just had a flammable yada yada substance. And he just sprayed.
And it's not like he could have used the bat, right? That's the official name for his little plain lobster.
I mean, people.
What it looks like, it's a flying lobster.
I mean, this is a guy in Dark Knight Rises who is hanging out on bridges in daylight and no one sees him. So I think he used this. Right. He just got up there, designed it really quick, took him a little, he had to scout it. He had to be somewhat quiet, but he was waiting for Oldman, which is interesting because Oldman was tried at about 3 p.m. and then around 3 a.m. Gordon's brought out. So there's a 12-hour. What's he doing after he got sentenced for 12 hours? Last meal?
It's a long last meal.
I mean, because they get sentenced, hey, death by not execution by, what's the word? We're making you leave. Excommunication. So they're sending him out. They sit in there for 12 hours. The interesting thing is when Gary Oldman and his guys go onto the ice, all the henchmen are knocked out quickly, which led me to believe that Batman also set up an automated blow dart shooter.
Yeah, it always made me curious as to where he was respective to the frame because the guys sort of fall ever so dramatically, but it's never really revealed where they were hit, like besides their necks. And even then, how do they get hit in the neck when everybody's bundled up? Mm-hmm.
So I figured he had a camera, very smart bat dart gun.
Sure, something from the sharper image.
Because he would have that.
Yeah.
So then he walks on the ice. There's the flare there that he left out very dramatically. They light the symbol. Bane sees it. So then Bane goes, okay, I gotta bring all my people to City Hall and all the cops have to get there. Then that timeline starts. So it's 3 a.m. when that happens. 4:30 a.m. he saves Blake. So he goes back for Blake was also getting his butt kicked for a long time by the henchman. He was down there for a couple hours getting beat up. which is pretty interesting. So he goes back, takes him out, then they get all the troops, then the big fight happens, and then he escapes, all in a 12-hour timeline. But I think that kind of works. I have no problem with it. It makes sense to me. I think he was thrown off by how long it took for Gary Oldman to be brought out to be killed in the ice.
You think he was like annoyed and probably thumbing through his phone apps and stuff?
He was on Instagram.
Yeah, he was looking for inspiration.
Yeah, so he was up there. He probably Googled how to graffiti. He's pretty famous. He's a billionaire, so maybe he gave Banksy a call. Who knows? But right. I don't know. I guess behind the scenes on this, I had a lot of fun with it because I liked answering the question that a lot of people had, but weren't crazy enough to answer.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Does Banksy exist in the Chris Nolan verse?
Absolutely.
Of Batman?
He does.
Okay, so maybe that undoes the entire theory, right? You're Bruce Wayne. You can afford to pay Banksy, and of course you know who he is because you're the greatest detective in the world. So not only do you know who Banksy is, but you have enough to pay him 10 times over. How are we not going to pretend like Banksy wasn't behind this? Because let's be real, the guy hasn't been officially caught yet. If there's anybody who can do it besides Bruce Wayne, it's probably him.
It's a real Banksy move.
It is. It would really outdo his other projects, I think. And it's not like he's a stranger to metropolitan cities like New York.
The interesting thing about this is I originally only wanted to focus on the Batfire, and I realized that was impossible. So this is one of the few where I've really had to expand my scope.
Yeah, it's sort of spiraled out because it's so like contingent in the bigger puzzle piece.
So then once I learned about the 12-hour ticking clock, I was like, crap. Because there's no way to know how long that takes until you have all 12 hours clocked, if that makes sense.
Right, you're just working backwards. You're like, it's like a simple equation.
So for me, this one went from a very simple idea to just kind of hair pulling. I'll tell you, at the end when I feel like I finally wrangled this into a cohesive piece, it felt good. I kind of enjoyed it. The biggest complaint people had about it was exactly that would have been, he would have done that in advance. There would have been bat symbols all over the city. That was the number one complaint. But I think Batman or Dark Knight fans of that trilogy, they're so passionate about it. I wanted to tackle this in a way that wasn't confrontational. Sure. Because, I worked in Comic-Cons for so many years. And I dealt with a lot of Dark Knight fans.
You know what a toxic fan looks and smells like.
Yeah, I've worked with a lot of great ones. Doctor Who fans are super chill. But this one, a lot of them are great. But I've noticed that when I bring up Dark Knight, sometimes there's a defensiveness. So, hey, what was the best movie of the 1970s? Oh, you didn't say Dark Knight. So for me, I had to tackle this in a way. I remember when you first read this, you laughed because you said how dry it was. So I made sure to say it's really dry. I explained myself. No one will read it. They read the title, then like the end result. But I think it was interesting how I wanted to mold it. And I think I didn't get a lot of complaints from Dark Knight fans. So I consider that a success.
Oh yeah. I mean, you expressed something on the internet and didn't get ratioed for it.
Yeah, but that didn't happen. So I was able to kind of be happy about it. And it had a great response. So that made me really happy. I just wish the one thing it taught me is don't trust official maps. Don't do that. Yeah,
because they're made by studio marketing departments.
Yeah, and I know. Yeah, and I watched it, and I think I wasted a long time looking at those. But other than that, so final thoughts on this data? Anything you learned from it? Does it seem practical or not practical? But does it seem plausible to you?
In a movie like this, which it just cares so little for pacing and plausible lapses of time and the passage of time, this goes to great lengths to, I think, itemize whatever confusion Nolan has left on the table, because I mentioned before, there's a guy who can't shoot a fight scene. It's this guy, but it's also
we're losing audiences with this.
No, this is the hot take from me. I'm trying to be controversial now. Look, if this guy's done many great things, and I love the trilogy for what it is, but if there's one thing he does worse than film fight scenes, it is this passage of time, and I just never know what day it is. And this movie especially, it's bizarre to me to keep up with. So this, if it might appear complicated, and it certainly is, it actually goes a lot for me to better understand what's going on in this arc of the movie.
Well, I'm glad, and also I'm also happy that Nolan has admitted that he could care less about geography in movies. This was fun. If you want to read it, head to Movies, Films, and Flicks. Check out the article. There's a lot, Adam, is there not?
Oh, there's oodles.
Just look at the pictures. I did a great job with the pictures. I drew arrows.
The pictures definitely help, as do the captions, pithy and informative.
Hey, well, thank you. So for me, Mark Hoffmeyer, for Adam Clement, this is Movies, Films, and Flicks Data. We'll see you next week.